Welcome, everyone. So great to see you, and thank you all for joining this second set of sessions. Um, the last six were really a high level sort of introductory course to mindfulness, and now I think you guys are ready to go a little deeper. So, we're going to talk about, as I said, a deeper dive in terms of our minds and our bodies. And let me just go over the 6 week syllabus. It'll be today embodied presence, where we'll focus on our breath and our posture. In the second class, we'll talk about bodily perception, which really means how we relate to our body in both, physical and emotional terms. The third class, cultivating equanimity, which is really a mouthful, but it is one of the key tenets of mindfulness. And so we'll explore that, what it means, and how we can cultivate it. The fourth class, mental blind spots. So, I think it's what we know we don't know sometimes, and sometimes what we don't know we don't know. So we'll take a look at some of the theories behind filters and biases and what we can do to just be aware of them. In the fifth class, this is one of my favorites, embracing randomness. I think we tend to assume that life will go on in its normal path, and then we know something all of a sudden happens. And so it's how do we embrace that? How do we understand that things can happen, and through our mindfulness practice, understand and navigate that? And then in the last class, it's laws of nature, but it really is these. I'm going to explore these two theories called the butterfly effect and um, the black swan effect, in terms of, again, a little bit of randomness, but also how these theories can help us cope with understanding sort of little and small events that can have impacts on our lives. So, great. So first, I just wanted to ask if anyone had any thoughts or insights or reflections on the last class. We talked about gratitude, and if you were able to maybe start a gratitude journal or just begin to focus on things you're grateful for, would be wonderful to hear. Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you for sharing. Okay, so let's dive into embodied presence. So this is one of the primary foundations of mindfulness, and the key word there is embodied. And one of the ways we achieve that is through our breath. But in this class, we're going to look at breath, and we're also going to look at our posture. So both of these things are kind of fundamental in terms of establishing a foundation for a good, sturdy practice. And there are things just to keep in mind, just to think about as you practice. So let's dive in. So when we talk about embodied awareness as it relates to breath, we're not really just focusing on the biological breath, on what's happening in the lungs, but really more about an energetic sense of breathing, which can be felt throughout the whole field of your experience. You almost have a sense that you can feel how every cell is participating in breathing. And we're tuning in here into this sort of naturalness of bodily life, the basic aliveness of bodily experience. So again, we tend to take breathing for granted. Obviously, we can't force ourselves to breathe. We do it automatically. But in the same way that we are not aware of it, or we're not aware of our thoughts, or we're not aware of getting lost in thought, can we bring our awareness to this tremendously positive, life-giving activity that we do, and then expand it out, right? Let our attention about our breath suffuse the direct feel of the body, whatever we're doing, whether we're sitting or standing, walking, and then just scanning through different sensations in the body while we're sitting. It's noticing where you feel the breath in your body. We've said that a few times in our mindfulness meditations. Do you notice it in your nose, in your chest? Just beginning to feel the breath suffuse your body and scanning through the different sensations. In fact, it's really kind of like bodyfulness as opposed to mindfulness. So inhabiting this bodily experience as it's unfolding, the expansiveness, moving from a very tight, limited sense of our body as a bundle of flesh and blood and organs to more like this body of that is inclusive and receptive. And that the idea that this air that we're breathing in, right, it's coming from out there, and that all living things are partaking of this air. Animals, trees, the sunlight, the ocean, everything is involved with air. And so that this idea of just me or mine, we begin to diffuse those boundaries, begin to sense an idea of universality. And that really brings a sense of calm and alive and ease. Because we're not, as David Foster Wallace says, only thinking about ourselves as the center of the universe, right? We can ease out of that default setting and begin to have this broad, inclusive, receptive sense of just with our breath and allowing this experience of bodily life to become more open and more connected. So in meditation, we notice what's happening right now in our bodies, right? We're here, we're in present moment. Our breath brings us back to this present moment because, as we know, you can't get a past breath back and you can't breathe in a future breath. So we begin to explore the breath and our bodies. We might feel a bit of anxiety or nervousness or self-consciousness or maybe excitement, curiosity. There's no right or wrong. We're just allowing the breath to breathe itself. It's not a yoga breath. It's not controlled. And we're exploring it with our beginner's mind. We're sensing it, feeling, not watching. So when we focus on the sensations of breathing, the coming and going of our breath, and you think, where do I feel it most intimately? Is it the tip of my nose? Is it in my chest? Do I feel it going all the way down to my belly? Just knowing the breath is always available and always changing. And so in our practice, we meet it as it is, rather than changing it or forcing it to be a certain way. And we can use it as a reference point for our concentration. So we feel and sense this changing sensation of the inhale and feel and sense the tasting, visceral changing sensations of the exhale. In fact, noticing that nuance, that's aliveness, that's awareness. And if you notice your mind is busy or distracted, maybe even count your inhale and exhale. But just keep the labeling to like a low whisper in the back of your mind. Knowing the present moment is always here for us, infinitely forgiving, no matter how distracted. And you can use your breath to experience all the depths of understanding ways in which we can really feel the whole universe. It's expansive. It's an amazing feeling. And it actually revealed in that expressiveness and expansiveness of the in-breath and the restfulness and ease of the out-breath, breath by breath. So any thoughts just on embodied awareness before we dive into posture? Yeah, I mean, it takes a little effort at the start. It's not our normal. It's not our default setting. But once you do begin to notice it, once you do start to feel it, you get that felt sense of breath, it really brings this sense of joy and ease that, you'll be thinking, oh, I can do that again. I can do that again. And it becomes easier. It becomes your default. So let's talk about posture now. This is another just idea, a guideline for you to think about and follow. I mean, the most important thing is that you guys just feel comfortable, right? Because if you're not comfortable, it's going to be hard to relax. It's going to be hard to feel at ease. So starting with the comfort, then we can go into what I think is the second most important thing, which is stable. You want to feel stable. You don't want to be standing on one leg trying to meditate, right? But it helps if you can feel your feet touching the floor. I know I'm kind of on the small side, and so I have to kind of sit forward in my seat in order to feel my feet on the floor. But that really helps. It helps in a number of ways. But if you're sitting on a couch with your legs crossed or you're on a cushion, then again, you just want to feel stable in your buttocks or in your thighs. I know sometimes if I'm on my pillow, I want to just sit from side to side to make sure I'm feeling like I'm not going to fall over, not going to fall forward or back. So you can kind of play with that a little bit. So yeah, that's absolutely number one, stability. And then we want to sit upright. I've heard people say, oh, maybe you want to have like a string at the top of your head or be distinguished. And I think that might be a bit forced. The idea is with that uprightness, you're going to feel alert. You're not going to like fall asleep and go this way or that way. So just being alert, bringing a brightness to your posture, that's really a lovely thought and a great thing to think about if you can. The third thing to think about with your posture is open. So again, if you're not, hunched over on the chair, we tend to be like this a lot of the day with our phones and our computers. And this is not that. This is this openness. When people are like that, they kind of look like they're being defensive or they have to be protected. Our bodies are communication tools as well. So when you are like that, people, feel like you're closed off. So in this case, we do want to feel a sense of open. Now, you don't want to like scrunch your shoulders too far back, but just when you're sitting upright, you'll feel whether your shoulders are hunched forward or not. So beginning to just open that up so that there's a receptiveness. And then last, just relax. Just relax. I mean, I know I'm giving you some guidelines, but hopefully these things do end up bringing you into a relaxed posture so that you can bring a kind of gentle awareness and curiosity to your practice. It just takes a little bit of practice. So I saw that Bob Dylan just came out with a new album and he has a wonderful song on there called I Contain Multitudes. If you haven't heard it, I'll send it out. It's just, I love the whole concept because we do contain multitudes. But there was an article in the New York Times and he said this quote where I was like, this is so perfect for this class. So he said, your mind and body go hand in hand. There has to be some kind of agreement. I like to think of the mind as spirit and the body as substance. How you integrate those two things, I have no idea. I just try to go on a straight line and stay on it, stay on the level. So actually, I think he's encompassing everything about the whole class, the next 6 sessions, right? We're going to be, we don't know, things can happen, so that's randomness. The laws of nature are just stay on it. And equanimity is about staying level. And in terms of, our relationship with our body, he goes, yeah, there has to be some kind of agreement. So I actually think that sums up the entire next 6 weeks. Yeah. So let me know what you think. The one thing I would add just about posture in terms of openness and gentleness, if you can think about it, is I sometimes just like to bring a smile, just a little smile, like just turning up the corners of my mouth when I meditate, because we know that, changes in your body change how you feel and vice versa. So just being able to bring a little smile helps ease, brings a sense of relaxation and non-stress, non-working too hard to your postures and to your practice. So you can try it and see if any of these things work for you. So yeah, let's discuss. I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts on it. Let me know what you think.